So there's so much going on. I'm having a hard time keeping up. And this was going to be a very commentary heavy video, right? I was just gonna like kind of rant for a little bit, but the ancestors whispered in my ears and they wanted me to add something. So I'm gonna have the Queen speak first, and then I'll speak after on kind of the current state of things and my opinion and what my melanin is tingling about. But just to, you know, preface this, Frances Cress Welsing, she says that, you know, in around the 1400s, you know, the European finally traveled the globe, and in his travels he mated with black women or women of color that are all over the globe, right? Melanated people. And when he realized that after mating with her that all the babies came out looking like the melanated woman, and either consciously or subconsciously he realized that that his genes are genetically recessive compared to our genes. You know, for instance, she always says Barack Obama, he has a white mother and a black father, but he's a black man, right? Okay, so I just wanted to give you that little bit of context, and let's get to the, well, this is my shiro, by the way. Like, this is my shiro. I don't know, she was special, so because even though she's no longer with us in this realm, her soul is still here, and you about to feel it right now.
Very serious, because we're talking about what exactly is the nature of the war that is being waged against us that we haven't understood clearly to date, but we are moving on understanding. If we understand the importance of the male genitalia, black male genitalia, as being viewed as that which can cause white genetic annihilation, we will understand the importance of the gun. Police officers. If we look at the front view of male genitalia, it looks like this. The lateral view looks like this. Just think about the lateral view for people who are far away. If you turn that around 90 degrees, what do you have? A gun. A gun. Guns are the most important thing in the white supremacy system and culture. Because the white brain computer says he has weapon, can annihilate me. Must create weapon, can do same thing. You see? In other words, the white genetic material is recessive. It cannot cause black genetic annihilation. But the white brain computer came up with gun. Can make gun. And what do they call the gun? The great equalizer. See, these terms are not idle expressions. We treat them as idle expressions, but they come from the subconscious, because the problem, the fear of white genetic annihilation is not talked about overtly. In other words, you don't hear big discussions on TV, we are genetic recessive and we're afraid of white genetic annihilation. You don't hear that being discussed. You just hear everybody needs a gun. 200 million guns in the hands of people in this area of the world, and they're not just in the hands, or mostly in the hands, of people who are classified as black or otherwise non-white. So the great equalizer. And from that awareness comes the term justifiable homicide. Justifiable homicide, somebody might say, well, the definition of that is when you have to shoot somebody. The term comes from people who are in uniform in the white supremacy system and culture, who classify themselves as white, who see a black man and say, I thought he had a weapon. He does. That's where that statement comes from, at the subconscious level. I thought he had a weapon. And then they will say, I thought he had a knife. Or I thought he had a gun. But it comes from the deeper subconscious fear of genetic annihilation. There's no history, as far as I know, of black males in uniform killing white men and saying, I thought he had a weapon. Now, maybe that's because they see better. I don't think so. It's just that the same fear is not in the minds of black gentlemen. It is a fear that is resident in this particular power system and structure.
I ain't got much time. So, any new laws on the books is laws for black people. Always, always keep that in mind. So, as they're sitting here and plotting and planning on which gun laws they need to have and what privacy laws that they need to change so they can get to these white supremacists and all of this kind of stuff, think to yourself, when do they ever punish white supremacists? Come on, people. Don't be sitting here advocating for any new laws. No new laws. Okay? It's for us. They're not gonna ever prosecute them. Ever. You know why? Because they are them. So you sitting here standing with them, picking it with them. Oh, we need these new laws. We need to, they just, as I'm sitting here listening, they like, oh, we need to be able to recognize this hate speech. And you know what they're gonna do? They're gonna come after us on the internet. Because we're telling the truth. They're not gonna do anything about them, ever. They're gonna take whatever new laws they put on the books and it's gonna be for us. Keep that in mind. Don't be fooled. Don't be no new laws. Black people should never, ever advocate for any new laws. Every time they make it happen, we learn how many hundreds of years. No new laws. Oh, we need to do this. Don't fall for this trick. I see the things that they're talking about. Yes, it sounds great if they were actually going to go after the white supremacists. But they're not. They're all working together. If we are having a problem with law enforcement being infiltrated by white supremacists, and this is as of the FBI, I'm not just pulling shit out of my behind right here, okay? As per the FBI, if we have white supremacists infiltrated in law enforcement, so who are going to enforce these new laws y'all want to make? Please don't be fooled. They are never, ever, it's going to be for us. They are going to find some way to fuck us. Aren't you getting tired of being bent over? Aren't you tired of them tricking us? Come on. I mean, damn. We just fall for the banana in the tailpipe every time. My God. I'm sorry. Wake up. It's wartime. We need to get our survival skills up. I don't know. I'm a city girl. I don't know how to do this stuff either. Okay? We need to get our survival game together. We need, for anybody who watched Walking Dead, all of that stuff that they needed to know how to do, we need to know how to do. We need to prepare as if the Walking Dead is about to happen, okay? We need to be prepared. Somebody was in my positive was in my DM today. She was talking about, do we know how to cook food when we don't have a stove? We need to know how to do it now. I'm pretty smart, so I'm sure I could figure it out eventually, but how long is eventually? We need to get our shit together. We need to prepare. Seriously, this is not a game. This shit is happening back to back to back, and we are the ultimate targets. I was watching the news, and this girl, it was this Hispanic girl in El Paso, and she was saying, now I've never had to live my life where my skin color made me aware of my mortality. I was like, ain't that about a bitch? I've had to live that life. We've had to live that life for quite some time, for hundreds of years in this country that we built, that we've been living in. Our parents, our grandparents, my great-grandparents, and who knows how far back than that. We have always had to come to terms with our mortality when it comes to our skin color. Ain't this about a bitch? All right, I'm done.